to hold this position, because I feel that this position needs to be more focused on the operations and of public works, the streets, the utility operations. This work group represents 25% of our workforce, and I think we've grown to a point where we need to separate the two. We haven't fully developed that plan. We want to go out and recruit, make sure that we can attract the right candidate for this job. I think we'll have an internal candidate actually, that we would, but we want to, because this is a director level position, I feel we owe it to our community to make sure that there isn't that unicorn or rock star out there that we would need to consider. So that's kind of, so before we fill this position, we will come back with a fully baked plan, and hopefully at our next council meeting, showing you how this would be reorganized and how we would pay for it. So, Councilmember Diener?
So you said engineering degree would get a 5% bump. What about a PE certificate or license?
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay, same thing.
Same thing.
One or the other.
Yes.
Just real quickly, Mayor, just reiterating, so we're going to have 3 people in IT for the remainder of the year, and then upon the retirement, we go back to two FTEs.
Correct. And we'll be lucky to have one the remainder between a paternity leave and recruitment and somebody.
Two positions.
Yeah, we'll end up with
Not
two
people,
positions.
just 2 positions.
Yeah, we'll actually have 3 people on the payroll, but we're going to be lucky to have 2 and many times 1 to the end of the year. So that's why it's important to get this position recruited and somebody onboarded, because it's a vital operation. Yes, you seem perplexed. Ask your question.
I don't know that I agree that someone who has graduated with an engineering degree should be at the same level as a PE.
So how did we post this, Debbie? Clarify, because I may have misspoke.
I do believe it's essentially Mark Dorsey's position, so I do believe the PE is required to have Mark Dorsey's pay range, which is the higher 5%.
Yeah, the higher 5%.
And I believe that's a PE required.
I misspoke.
Okay.
So it's a PE to get the 5%.
But basically, that's where you were at.
That was my question. Is
That was your question, and I misspoke.
license for PE
Yes.
has
Right.
more value than just getting an engineering degree.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we don't believe it's absolutely necessary
Right.
for this
you're saying.
position as we're evolving.
Right.
But if somebody brought it to the table, we would compensate them for that. Okay, further questions? Hearing none, we'll be voting on an ordinance authorizing positions of Public Works Director and Information Technology Manager and starting salaries for Public Works Director. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. We're to item C, adoption of an ordinance number 032-22, amending Port Orchard Municipal Code, Chapter 2.75, modifying the occupancy limits for the Active Club building. Tony Lang, you're here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. In approximately 1959, the Port Orchard Active Club donated to the City of Port Orchard the building located at 1027 Tacoma Avenue, known at the time as a Youth Activity Club building, with the stipulation that the facilities be available to the community but for youth groups of the community at no charge. In accordance with the terms of the donation, the City of Port Orchard owns and maintains the Port Orchard Active Club building for use by youth, nonprofit groups, and private citizens. The City of Port Orchard adopted guidelines for use of the facility via resolution number 025-08, and on March 23, 2010, the City Council codified these guidelines at ordinance number 004-10, establishing fees and rules for the Active Club at Chapter 2.75 Active Club Building of the Port Orchard Municipal Code. On August 24, 2010, the Council amended POMC Chapter 2.75 by ordinance number 018-10. The City Council deems it in the best interest of the City of Port Orchard to periodically review and update such policies. On June 29, 2022, Public Works staff met with the city's building slash fire code official to inspect the facility's fire code compliance regarding emergency exit requirements. On July 12th, 2022, the city's building fire code official issued a memorandum to the Public Works Department requesting that the occupancy limit for room 1 be changed from a maximum occupancy of 100 to 49, and room 2 be changed from a maximum occupancy of 50 to a maximum occupancy of 49 to eliminate the need for additional structural modifications to the existing facility. By this ordinance, the stated maximum occupancy at POMC 2.75.010 would be amended in accordance with the request from the city's building fire code official. If approved by the City Council, Public Works staff will appropriately placard room 1 and room 2 to notify the public of the change. Staff recommends adoption of ordinance number 032-22, amending POMC chapter 2.75.010 regarding maximum occupancy limits for room 1 and room 2 of the Activity Club building.
I move to adopt ordinance number 032-22, amending Port Orchard Municipal Code, Chapter 2.75.010, regarding maximum occupancy limits for Room 1 and Room 2 of the Activity Club building.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lucarelli, a second by Councilmember Chineri, and Councilmember Clausen, you have a question?
Yeah, it indicates that there would need to be modifications to the building to maintain its current occupancy. What would those modifications look like?
If it was over 49, it would have to have an additional door added for emergency exit purposes. Currently, there's only one, which meets the 49 and below threshold.
Tony, typical usage of that building is 15, 20 people, I think.
Correct.
I don't believe having 49 be the number is.
Well, I don't think 49 is going to be a problem. I was just curious on
Yeah.
what the
Yeah,
modifications
this
would
was
need to
stemmed
be.
from emergency exit light and fire extinguisher inspections on the facility, specifically for the first floor where the peewees are inhabiting that area. They have some locked doors that lead to the corridors that are not meeting fire code, so we wanted to bring the building official in to make some determinations as far as what we should do.
Further questions? Right, you'll be voting on the adoption of an ordinance amending or modifying occupancy limits for the Active Club building. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. We're to item D, adoption of a resolution adopting updated right-of-way acquisition procedure. Ms. Archer?
Thank you, Mayor. Council, before you this evening is the adoption of a resolution adopting updated right-of-way acquisition procedures. With the departure of your Public Works Director, the city is required to modify your existing right-of-way acquisition procedures as approved by the Washington State Department of Transportation Local Programs Group. And this proposal is to replace the Public Works Director as your point of contact or your authorized agent for relocation and acquisition with the Public Works Director, with the Director of Community Development and the interim city engineer, and to repeal the previous procedures. So the sole modification to your existing right-of-way acquisition procedures is to substitute in the name for the title and the name of the Public Works Director with the Community Development Director and the interim city engineer.
Councilmember Clausen.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution adopting updated right-of-way acquisition procedures.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Clausen, a second by Councilmember Diener. Questions on this? Just updating things. So, Councilmember
I
Chang?
just need to comment that I am a DOT employee, but I do not work for Highways and Local Program Department. However, I would be happy to recuse myself if anyone believes there is a conflict. I have to remind you.
Yeah, I know, but you get to vote anyway.
Anybody wishing for Councilmember Chang to recuse himself, please speak up. No one is speaking up, so you get to vote. All right. Voting on the adoption of a resolution updating our right-of-way acquisition procedures. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the procedures have been updated. So we're to item E, adoption of a resolution approving a contract with Shakehart Jewel Inc., DBA SCJ Alliance for the Bethel Phase 1 intersection improvement projects. Believe it or not, we're funding this thing. So interim city public works director, Chris Hammer is here to help us celebrate this project.
Council and Mayor, and thank you, Mayor, for the introduction. Summary, staff identified the need for a professional architectural and engineering services for the Bethel Phase 1 intersection improvement project and road project. Accordingly, on October 1st and October 8th, 2021, the City Public Works Department published a request for qualifications seeking submission from qualified architecture and engineering professional services consultants with expertise in street design, right-of-way, and construction phase consulting for the project. By October 20th, 2021, the deadline, the city had received 3 statements of qualifications. Upon review by staff of the SOQs received, all 3 qualified firms were interviewed on October 25th, 2021. Based on overall qualifications, including interview scoring, staff recommends the selection of SCJ Alliance as the most qualified consultant for the project. Public Works staff met with SCJ to negotiate the terms of the agreement for the project. On July 28, 2022, SCJ provided a viable scope of work, budget, and project timeline for the project in an amount not to exceed $624,292.45. Recommendation, staff recommends adopting a resolution number 063-22, authorizing the mayor to execute contract number CO83-22 with SCJ Alliance for the Bethel Phase 1 intersection project in the amount of $624,292.45.
Councilmember Diener.
Mr. Mayor, I think I speak for everybody when we're extremely pleased to move this to adopt resolution number 63-22, authorizing the mayor to execute contract number C083-22 with Shakar and Jewell Incorporated, DBA as SCJ Alliance, for the Bethel Phase 1 intersection project in an amount of $624,292.45.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Diener, and I'm going to give that second to Councilmember Lucarelli. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, this gets us to a 60% design?
That's correct.
And I advocated for 100% design, and Chris won, and for good reason, because if we funded 100% design, the grant that we've applied for, we wouldn't be able to use for the design. So we'll come back later after we figure out if we get the grant or not to help fund this. And so that leaves something undone that can be funded by a grant. So that's the logic behind that. So Councilmember Diener?
I just wanted clarification on one of the tasks in the scope of work. It's on page 119 of the packet. And under 9.1, it talks about 2 focus meetings, but it mentions it as property owner meetings. And I wanted to understand whether that was for the property owners or whether that was for the public at large. Because then after that, it goes to council. And that's task 9.1. I suspect it should be public workshops. Is that correct, or?
So we actually, at the time I negotiated with the consultant, we were talking about both of those things.
Okay.
So we should have adequate time to work with our transportation committee and also council in a couple workshop formats, as well as going through a process to approve the what's proposed.
Yeah,
as well as the property owners.
Yeah, and maybe workshop is not the right description, but
I think there's meetings proposed for the community and then also for the property owners along the corridor, both. Because they're going to have a more focused meeting for those property owners that are affected.
That was my only question. Thank you.
Other questions? All right, you'll be voting on the adoption of a resolution approving a contract with Shakar Jewell, Inc. for the Bethel Phase 1 intersection improvement project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Congratulations, Chris. For item F, adoption of a resolution approving a contract with K&K Construction LLC for the DCD building repairs South Face project. This is you again, Chris.
Summary, the city identified the need for building repairs on the south face of the Department of Community Development building located at 720 Prospect Street. By this resolution, the City Council would authorize the mayor to execute a contract with K&K Construction for the DCD building repairs South Face project. To select K&K Construction LLC for this project, on July 12, 2022, Public Works staff established a list of qualified contractors from the MSRC Small Works roster for the main category, facility construction, repair, and maintenance, and subcategory, doors, pedestrian, automatic, and manual painting, exterior siding. A copy of the list of qualified contractors created by staff is attached to the resolution as Exhibit A. On July 13, 2022, and pursuant to the city's procurement policies adopted by Resolution 36-22 as amended, the City Public Works Department issued an email invitation to bid for the project to all contractors on the selected roster. 3 bids were received by July 28, 2022 by the deadline, at which time staff determined that K&K Construction was the presumed responsive and lowest qualified bidder. The final bid amounts are as follows. In Time Renovations LLC, $28,905 and change. K&K Construction LLC, $23,680 and change. Westmark Construction, $47,665 and change. On August 1st, 2022, the City Public Works Department staff completed the MSRC mandatory bidder responsibility checklist and determined that K&K Construction LLC bid of $23,680.02, sales tax included, was the lowest responsive and responsible qualified to bid. The Public Works Department has confirmed that the bidding procedures for Public Works have been followed. The project was not budgeted in the 2021-22 budget. The Public Works Department seeks council approval for this repair project.
Councilmember Chang.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 067-22, authorizing the mayor to execute contract number C091-22 with K&K Construction LLC for the DCD building repairs South Face project in the amount of $23,680.02.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Chang, second by Councilmember Rosa Pepe. And the siding on the backside of that building is a cedar lap siding. It's just end of its useful life. We're fighting some moisture problems and some ants, and we need to get the siding replaced so that we can have a better work environment in the building. So Councilmember Rosa Pepe?
Just real quickly, Mayor, do we have any idea once they start the project that they may find additional work, or this pretty straightforward? I know the age of that building.
We hope not. That's an addition back there, so
Right.
it's not super old, but we do have some water intrusion back there, so I won't be super surprised if.
Okay, just
we-
curious.
Yeah, we've been fighting water intrusion on the backside of the building, so this project will address the water intrusion and any necessary repairs.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, you'll be voting on the adoption of a resolution approving a contract with K&K Construction, Inc. for the DCD building repairs. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. We're to item G now, adoption of a resolution approving an application for a grant funding from the State Recreation and Conservation Office for a culvert removal project. Mr. Hammer, this is you again.
City of Port Orchard Public Works Department proposes to replace an existing drainage culvert on Bay Street. The culvert is located near the intersection of Bay Street and Arnold Avenue. The existing wooden culvert has some structural failures resulting in sinkholes on Bay Street. It's also a known barrier to salmon migration. While the city has done some repairs to fix the sinkholes, more permanent solution is needed for replacing the structure. In 2018, the city conducted a 30% design analysis for the project to determine roughly what it would cost to replace the structure. Current estimates fall between $1.3 million and $4.7 million for a total design and construction. In addition to this project, the City of Port Orchard Public Works Department proposes to remove an existing drainage culvert located along Sydney Road at Ruby Creek. This culvert is located approximately 850 feet south of the intersection of Southwest Hode Road and Sydney Road. City staff have conducted a preliminary design analysis and have determined the culvert will need to be replaced with a 30-foot span bridge. The Ruby Creek culvert supports water and sanitary sewer infrastructure and is also a known barrier to salmon migration. The city identified two Recreation and Conservation Office grants through the Bryant Abbage Fish Passage Barrier Removal Board program available to fund 100% design of the Annapolis Creek Culvert Replacement Project and design build for the Ruby Creek Culvert Replacement Project, both design and build. If awarded, the funds would be available to the city on July 1st, 2023. If awarded, design due diligence assessments and permitting are expected to begin in September 30th of 2023 for both projects. Ruby Creek Bridge removal construction is anticipated to begin as early as May 30th, 2024. The cost estimate for the Annapolis Creek Culvert design project is roughly $500,000. A grant match of 15% or $75,000 is required for the city if this grant is awarded. For the Ruby Creek, the costs are estimated to be at about $2,180,000 with a 15% grant match on the level of about $327,000. With council's authorization to proceed with these projects, match funding is available from the storm drainage budget for the 2023-24 biennial budget cycle. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution thereby authorizing the mayor and designees within the Public Works Department to apply for a grant funded from the BAFB-RB program managed by RCO to commit grant match from the city for each project and execute all documentation necessary to effectuate the grant and pursue these projects.
Councilmember Lucarelli.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute all documentation necessary to apply for and effectuate a grant from RCO to fund 100% design of the culvert replacement for the Bay Street Annapolis Creek culvert repair and to commit to a grant match of 15% from the city.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Lucarelli, second by Councilmember Trenary. If you remember, I served on a task force for some federal money with the state, and one of those buckets of dollars that got some extra money was the Brian Abbott Fish Barrier program. So hopefully there's enough in there for us. Councilmember Diener?
That was my first question, was how robust is the Abbott fund, but hopefully we'll get something out of that. My other question was, why such a variance between 1.3 and 4.7 million for the Annapolis culvert?
Because we haven't done a design yet.
Okay, so it's just total
Swag.
back of napkin. Okay. That's all that I have.
Yep. Isn't that correct? We haven't done a design yet, Chris. The design won't form the cost.
I'm pretty sure all the work that's been done is just our best guesstimates at the staff level.
History tells me that it's the higher end of the range. What do I know? Any other questions? Okay, we'll be voting on adoption of a resolution approving an application for a grant from the State Recreation and Conservation Office for culvert removal projects. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Mr. Trenary, I think we're to item H now, and I think you're going to recuse yourself.
To recuse myself.
So you can head in the back, and we'll call you back soon. So, item H is adoption of a resolution approving a contract with Excel Business Systems, Inc. for the maintenance of the Public Works admin copier. And that copier was on a lease through Canon Financial. We bought the lease out. We own the copier now, and we need a support and maintenance to it. So with that, Ms. Wallace, this is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So as the Mayor just mentioned, the city did recently purchase the Public Works Administrative Copier from Canon. It is standard practice to have a maintenance agreement on copiers. The vendor has agreed to a one-year maintenance agreement. However, pursuant to RCW 42.23.030, subsection 6A limits the amount of a municipal officer that can benefit from a contract in which the total amount received under that contract or contracts to $1,500 in any calendar month. Because a council member does not meet that threshold, the city is interested in continuing to have Excel Business Systems, Inc. provide that maintenance for that Public Works copier. Therefore, staff recommends the adoption of the resolution and authorizing the mayor to execute a maintenance agreement with Excel Business Systems for the Public Works admin copier.
Member Rosa Pepe.
Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution and authorize the mayor to execute a one-year maintenance agreement with the Excel Business Systems Incorporated for the Public Works admin copier as presented.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rosa Pepe, second by Councilmember Lucarelli. There are other companies that do this work, but this is the only company on the Kitsap Peninsula. We'd be, when your copier breaks down, you want somebody here within the hour and not the next day. So, and they provide excellent service to the city.
I think it's worth mentioning that that company has been working with us
Yes.
long before Mr. Trineri, Councilmember Trineri, joined the council.
Yes, we've had a long-standing relationship with this company and service contracts on a handful of machines throughout the
I
city.
never knew what he did. So
So now you know what he does. So, all right, other questions or comments? All right, you'll be voting on the adoption of a resolution approving a contract with Excel Business Systems, Inc. for the maintenance of the Public Works admin copier. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. If you want to retrieve Mark. While you were gone, we passed out some new committee assignments. Right. So we're to item I now, adoption of a resolution approving a contract with KCI Technologies, Inc. for asset management strategic planning. Jackie Brown is online to talk about this one. Maybe.
Sorry, it was muted. So good evening, council. Thank you, Mayor. The city has identified a need for an asset management plan to document and track the city's infrastructure. The city desires the assistance of a consultant with expertise in this particular area of asset management planning to help develop an asset management plan and to assist in determining the type of asset management software program that best meets the needs of the city. Accordingly, staff
Councilmember Lucarelli.
I move to adopt Resolution Number 077-22, authorizing the mayor to execute contract number C079-22 with KCI Technologies, Inc. for the Asset Management Program's Strategic Planning Project in an amount not to exceed $99,932.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lucarelli, a second by Councilmember Diener. And Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't our sewer and water utility elements of our plan that has been approved by the state require us to do this body of work?
We are required to have an asset management plan in order to be eligible for most of the funding programs through the Department of Ecology as well as the Department of Health Office of Drinking Water. We have thus far been able to check the box basically on the forms because we have GIS, we have the records management system, and I have been to many trainings on asset management, and we're keeping an inventory, moving toward this enhanced inventory and computerized maintenance management system.
Thank you. Other questions?
So this is limited to utilities and road.
Our three utilities in the road is what
Right.
we have a finance department as far as vehicles and equipment. We
Okay,
have
that
a
was my
completely
questions.
different body of work and system for that.
Yeah, my question was about rolling stock and whether that
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, if I might respond to that, Mayor. The thing is, there's kind of two elements here. There's the SAMP, which is Strategic Asset Management Plan. That will be an umbrella citywide that looks at all of the different departments, and all of the departments will be brought under that. So we will have that asset management program for all of them as an overriding backbone, if you will. And then the other part of that is to put in the actual where the rubber meets the road, basically the computerized maintenance management system in which we can track our utility facilities and elements as far as maintenance and operations.
So it's the creation of an umbrella document that
One
will.
of the other things that we've asked the consultant to do as well is to make sure that in their terms split that the computer programs can play nice with each other.
Because our accounting software does. The Equipment Replacement and Reserve Fund.
Right, so it's going to be a parent plan that manages everything, but they're going to bring up to speed the utilities in our roads.
And then the utility side of it, it's the operations maintenance side, so that we ensure that we're doing the things we're supposed to be doing at
Okay.
the proper intervals. Are there any questions for Jackie? Because she knows far more about this than I do. All right, hearing none, you'd be voting on the adoption of a resolution approving a contract with KCI Technologies, Inc. for the Asset Management Strategic Planning. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. We're to item J, adoption of a resolution authorizing the rental of two potable bypass pumps for the Elden Trails lift stations from Sunbelt Rentals, Inc. Mr. Lang, this is you.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works staff have identified the need to upgrade the supervisory control and data acquisition, or SCADA, communications at Elden Trails lift station from copper leased lines to cellular radio communications due to ongoing issues with the current copper leased line communication system. Staff has determined that the lift station will need to have the utility power disconnected for approximately 1 week for Public Works staff and the city's SCADA integrator, Technical Systems Incorporated, or TSI, to accomplish replacing and integrating the needed SCADA equipment in the Master Control Cabinet, or the MCC. The lift station must remain operational during this upgrade process to serve the city's citizens. 2 temporary bypass pumps will be required to keep the lift station operational during the SCADA upgrades, one as the primary pump and the other as an emergency backup. The city does not own this type of portable bypass pumping equipment. On July 19th, 2022, pursuant to RCW 39.04.190, the city's Public Works Department established a list of qualified vendors from the 2022 MRSC vendor roster. See Resolution Exhibit A attached for the main category, equipment, and subcategory, pumping equipment. On July 21st, 2022, and again on July 26, 2022, pursuant to the City of Port Orchard procurement policy adopted by Resolution 036-22 as amended, the Public Works staff contacted 3 vendors selected from the roster. After review of the pricing and options received, the city identified Sunbelt Rentals Incorporated as an approved qualified vendor for the bypass pump rentals. On July 26, 2022, Public Works Department staff requested a quote from Sunbelt Rentals Incorporated. On July 26, 2022, Sunbelt Rentals provided a quote of $7,635.55 plus applicable tax for a total rental price of $8,334.32. The amount of the rental exceeds the amount budgeted in the 2021-2022 budget. The Public Works Department seeks council approval. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing the rental of 2 portable bypass pumps from Sunbelt Rentals Incorporated for a total rental price of $8,334.32, applicable tax included.
Councilmember Trenary, was that your hand raised?
It is. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to designate and execute a documentation necessary to rent 2 portable bypass pumps from Sunbelt Rentals, Inc., for a total price including tax of $83.34.32.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Trenary, second by Councilmember Chang, and I guess those are portable and not potable.
Correct.
Councilmember Rosa Pepe.
Tony, thank you for bringing this forward. Elden Trails isn't that old a development, or, you know, is this an issue we're going to see with other lift stations?
The newer lift stations are all having radio and cell communications as they're being developed.
Okay.
And that's where the direction that we're moving in. We're moving from
Right.
copper to the radio and cell.
Do we have other lift stations that we're going to see this down the road?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep, it's modernizing the older infrastructure.
Okay. Yep.
Other questions? All right, you'd be voting on the a resolution authorizing the rental of 2 portable bypass pumps for Elden Trails Lift Station from Sunbelt Rentals, Inc. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. We're to item K, approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Police Guild representing sergeants for the voluntary reversion of an employee to the rank of sergeant. Ms. Lund.
Thank you. In January 2021, Sergeant Donna Main was promoted to Deputy Chief. Recently, Deputy Chief Main informed the city that she misses the field work and her interests lie in serving our citizens by working with her fellow officers and sergeants patrolling and responding to calls. As a result, on June 28, 2022, the City Council approved an additional sergeant position in the police department. The city then entered into negotiations with the Police Guild representing sergeants to address some contractual issues related to Miss Main's reversion to the rank of sergeant. The Guild and the city have agreed to the terms of this reversion, subject to your approval tonight. The memorandum of understanding was sent to you under privilege from City Attorney Archer, so it's not part of your packet, but happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Diener.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Police Guild representing sergeants relating to the voluntary reversion of Donna Main to the rank of sergeant.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Diener, second by Councilmember Rosa Pepe. Go ahead, Councilmember Rosa Pepe.
One comment and one question for the chief. My comment is it's a bittersweet day because I know what a wonderful individual Sergeant, soon-to-be Sergeant Main is, but I'm happy to see her stay on the force. The question is, how goes the search for our new deputy chief?
The search goes well. Hopefully we'll be able to share that selection with the council and the public soon.
Thank you.
Our goal is possibly your next council meeting. We
Nice.
have some fanfare. But we're working diligently through the process. Other questions? All right, you'd be voting on the approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Police Guild representing sergeants for the voluntary reversion reversion of an employee to the rank of sergeant. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the agreement is approved. We're to item L, approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Police Guild representing sergeants for wages and benefits for sergeants assignment to detective unit. Ms. Lund?
Thank you again. Earlier this year, the Police Guild representing sergeants asked to bargain wages and benefits associated with the potential assignment of one of their members to detectives. This is the first time a sergeant will be assigned to detectives. Therefore, the existing union contract was silent on the matter. The city and the union have agreed to pay differential and a clothing allowance as was provided in the patrol contract for patrol officers assigned to detectives. So same benefits, same differential in pay in the sergeant's contract is what is being proposed to you. And again, that memorandum of understanding was sent to you under privilege from the city attorney.
Councilmember Rosa Pepe.
Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Police Guild representing sergeants relating to wages and benefits for a sergeant assigned to detectives.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rosa Pepe, second by Councilmember Ternary. Any questions on this matter? Hearing none, you'll be voting on a memorandum of understanding with the Police Guild representing sergeants for wages and benefits related to the sergeant assignment to the detective unit. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The memorandum of understanding is passed. I'm going to need you to indulge me in extending this meeting by 10 minutes. And if you will do so, I will forego my mayor's report.
Oh,
I'm
you
in.
twisted that. It works.
I move that we extend our meeting for 10 additional minutes.
If you indeed follow through without
Well,
presenting.
So is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Clausen, a second by Councilmember Rosa Pepe to extend our meeting by 10 minutes this evening. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the meeting is now extended till 9:10. We're to item M, approval of an agreement with the Teamsters Local 589 representing Public Works employees regarding calculation of overtime. If I talk fast, maybe I'll get a mayor's report in.
Well, thank you for that extension. The Public Works employees will be very happy. The city regularly and routinely reviews and audits its payroll practices. During one audit, the city identified an issue with payments for premium pay for standby and SCADA pay for our Public Works employees. It's also affected those who opt out of our medical insurance. Payroll staff implemented a process to address the issue. In addition, the staff researched and identified wages owed to those affected employees. The Teamsters and the city have agreed to a payment for all their affected members totaling $3,447.97, pending your approval tonight. Again, a document sent to you under privilege from the city attorney to resolve this overtime calculation.
Councilmember Chang.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Teamsters Local Number 589 representing Public Works employees regarding calculation of overtime.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Chang, a second by Councilmember Clausen. Any questions for Ms. Lund on this matter? It's gotta love accounting software when it doesn't do it right for you.
Straightforward.
All right, you'll be voting on approval of an agreement with the Teamsters Local 589 representing the Public Works employees regarding the calculation of overtime. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the agreement has passed. We're to item N, approval of participation and settlement of an opioid litigation, State of Washington versus McKeeson Corp., Cardinal Health Inc., and Amerisource Bergen Drug Corporation and Kitsap County cause number 19-2-0975-9. Ms. Archer?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening, it would be an authorization for the mayor to execute on behalf of the city a participation agreement to benefit from a settlement derived by Attorney General Bob Ferguson in his ongoing battle with distributors of opioids and due to the related health effects arising from opioid and the opioid epidemic. The trial that Bob Ferguson recently held in King County Superior Court culminated in a negotiated settlement in the amount of $518 million for the state of Washington, which is a slightly larger than some of the other states that have taken on the negotiated national settlement. The settlement, however, is not effective until all litigating and non-litigating all litigating Washington jurisdictions and at least 90% of non-litigating jurisdictions with a population over 10,000 agree to its terms. The terms are such that this city, given your population, is allocated a 0.1009% of the awarded portion that will be directed for non-litigating cities of your size. That portion in total is $215 million. So you would get approximately 0.1009% of that amount less attorney's fees, which are called out in the settlement, approximately 15% of the total. The funds that you receive if you choose to participate would be required to be utilized for improving and expanding treatment for opioid use disorders, supporting individuals in treatment and recovery, including job placement, job training, housing and transportation, and addressing the needs of pregnant women and their families and those babies with neonatal disorders related to opioids, among other opioid treatment and recovery specific expenditures that these funds could be utilized for. And again, the staff recommendation is for you to authorize the mayor to execute the settlement agreement, the participation agreement to benefit from the settlement derived by the Attorney General. And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Councilmember Clausen.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the city's participation in the distributed Washington settlement in the matter of the state of Washington versus McKinson Corp. And authorize the mayor to execute and the participation form and all documents necessary to effective settlement.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Clausen, second by Councilmember Lucarelli. And the agenda says it's Kitsap County case number, but I believe it's King County as the staff report says. So questions for Ms. Archer on this? All right. With
I
that,
just want to point out that we've been talking about this in the past, so this is not something new that we're talking about tonight.
true. It's a drop in the bucket, but it's a start. So you'll be voting on the proposed opioid settlement. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the action has been approved. We're to item O, our last business item. Approval of the July 26th, 2022 council meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Go ahead, Councilmember Rosebetti.
Mayor, move to approve the council meeting minutes as presented.
Second it.
Motion by Councilmember Rosepepe, second by Councilmember Terneri. I believe I will get an abstention by Councilmember Diener. Any additions or corrections to those? I guess just corrections to those minutes. Hearing none. All in favor of approving the July 26 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None, and one abstention. All right, we're to our Sloan discussion item, and there's no action considered tonight, and we've just drafted the potential ordinance that would you may take action on in September, possibly. And I just want to, so that's just for your pleasure to read and review. I will let you know that since our last council meeting, I've worked with Janine. We have created a button on the main page of our website that is an entire page regarding Bethel Phase 1. I think that's very important to the conversation about the 1/10 measure. What are we doing with it? And we'll refer everybody to our website and that talks about Bethel Phase 1. So, Councilmember Diener?
Has that language been finalized?
As far as?
Says the webpage introduction to the.
The webpage is solely what Bethel Phase 1 is.
Okay.
That's all it is. And the other piece that we're working on, which is a press release and social media posts that highlight a 1/10 measure to fund Bethel Phase 1. For more information on Bethel Phase 1, go to our website and this button. And here comes Janine is running to the rescue here. There's our web page. She's going to scroll down, and it's tough to read. There it is, Bethel Phase 1. You click on that, and it's got a project description and a diagram of what Bethel Phase 1 is.
Well, so as regards this and public information, I think you've mentioned in the past that there might be jurisdictions that aren't eligible for certain grants if they don't have something like this or TBDs in place.
Yeah, not at this time.
Okay. Not at this time.
It is, I will say that anytime I'm in Olympia and I sit down and talk to somebody in the legislature, one of the first questions, because when you're looking, there's grants, but then there's appropriations where we've been really successful, okay? And when, your senator, your House representative, or somebody from the transportation chair says, but are you using all the tools that we've provided you? I can say yes.
And
so
I
it
think
strengthens our case in those situations, not necessarily the grants that Mr. Hammer is applying for at this time.
Yeah. I think it's important to tie into that, even if it's something that might be legislated at a future event.
Can't say that today, but it is a question that's asked quite frequently as I'm communicating with folks in Olympia. Councilmember Clausen?
I would add, in my experience, even when you're going after competitive funds with groups that make those decisions, when you're able to go in and explain all of the things that you're doing and why you need this, it helps strengthen your case for getting a favorable decision out of the group.
Certainly doesn't hurt us. That's for certain. Okay, we have 1 minute remaining, and I think we need to take citizen comment. We only have no one in the audience. See Jesse Darling from the Kitsap Sun. And Jesse, if you'd like to address the council, we're here for you. Raise your hand, and Brandy will bring you in. If not, then we're going to adjourn this meeting. Don't see Jessie raising her hand. So with that, you guys missed out on a fabulous mayor's report. And
Directors?
Mr. Mayor, technically you don't need to extend until 9:30 per your code. Ms. Lund
I
pointed
thought it was
that out.
9.
No.
It's nine. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say anything, but
Begging for extra time. So I'm still
we
gonna,
already
I'm
left.
going to make good on my promise, though. But I will give staff an opportunity to make, if they've got any reports. Mr. Hammer, do you have anything to share from Public Works and Engineering?
Okay, I did come prepared this time, so if you have 5 minutes here.
Okay.
So a couple updates on capital project developments. First up is the Bethel Lincoln Roundabout project. The project's been on hold due to a new development involving stormwater permitting. NIMS, with the federal permits required, has not been approving transportation projects due to a recent finding that tire compounds are impacting the health of salmon and whales in Puget Sound. But we did receive good news from our consultant last week. WashDOT will be able to permit our project as proposed under the interim guidelines. So we are back on track for construction in the summer of 2023. Skillings deserves credit for stepping up right away to leveraging their expertise and relationships with WashDOT to expediently address this potentially high consequence schedule and cost issue. The next thing that I have for you is the Lippert Road and Sidewalk Reconstruction project. This project has a number of elements that I'd like to highlight, why they're important to the city. So work has started. If you've been out to Lippert, you can see the demo is pretty well done at this point. We're starting farm work for concrete next week. It is pretty disruptive to the community, so we apologize for that. We do have local access only during the work shift, and then the road opens up again. We will have some closures in September. Dust has been a problem because we basically have a gravel road, but they've been out there every day, including weekends, putting down water and addressing the dust issue for us. But this project's an important milestone for in several respects. This is the first year we're seeing the results of council's commitment to prioritize street preservation, and this is the first significant city road and sidewalk reconstruction project other than the Tremont, in some time. And this is consistent with providing good pavement management practices and to reduce the cost burden for maintaining the city streets from a life cycle cost perspective. The project also is one that was designed in-house by our own engineering group. We call it better, faster, cheaper. The mayor just calls it better. The idea is that if we can, rather than going out and procuring a consultant and administering their agreement and making sure we're getting a quality project, getting up to speed on the project, if we can do the design in the same amount of time, well, then we save on those consultant fees. So in these smaller projects, it makes a lot of sense for us to design those in-house since we've got those capabilities. Also, this is a great project for me because our new engineer one and our new inspector are out there actually doing all the construction administration and inspection, and I'm just doing supervision, which is quite different than last year when I was actually having to do all the inspection myself. So that's freed me up to do other things, and that's a good development for our work group as we work into being more efficient with the new positions we have. So I want to express my appreciation for supporting the new additional engineer and coordinator inspector positions and the commitment to fund street preservation.
We wouldn't be doing this project ourselves if it wasn't for those staff members that you provided us. Thank you, Chris. Debbie, you got anything?
I actually have some good news to share, but in interest of time, I'm going to hold you over till next meeting, and I'll share it then.
A month from now. Wow. Tony?
Operations has a lot going on, as you can imagine, during the fair weather months right now. Leak detection is going on. We've repaired a couple leaks that they've identified out there during the consultants' work. I think they've identified potentially 10 at this point, so we're chasing them around to try and fix that. Thermoplastic is coming up towards the end of the month, so the Jersey barrier taper that we have on South Kitsap Boulevard and the Roundabout will be effectively removed probably towards the beginning of September. And then striping's coming up as well. And then Public Works is also paving, crack sealing as much as we can, juggling vacations at this time. So considering the fact that the skid steer burned up, we're doing the best that we can. So,
Chris and Tony, how are we progressing on the fix for the pathway, the seawall that got broken? Is that advancing?
So we're finalizing our documentation for permitting.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we'll be positioned as soon as we have the permits to move forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Archer?
Nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Chief?
Helene stole a little bit of my thunder, but the cruise is this weekend. Should be a good time. Weather should be good. And 10 a.m. I will be at the dunk tank if you guys want to take anything out on me.
10 a.m. I'll note that.
We can bring our own basketballs.
We can practice.
Yes. Yeah, beach balls, you can just kind of run up and slap.
Softballs are pretty good size, and it's not very far away. Ms. Wallace?
I do not have anything to provide other than this fabulous
Well, the dunk tank.
brochure that is advertising the public to dunk the chief this weekend.
Jesse Young there too. Awesome. All right. Anything for the good of the order? We got 15 minutes. All right. Hearing none, our meeting is adjourned.